Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, thank you for joining us this evening for Wealth Creation and Preservation. And today we're going to play a piece from Wall Street Trapper. Wall Street Trapper is speaking about the rich versus the poor mindset. Then we'll have the opportunity to introduce you to the Melanin Gang. Alhamdulillah, I'm so looking forward to that. And we want to do a little piece. Actually, I missed my second intro because my host, my normal co-host or usual co-host is out of town right now. So alhamdulillah, I'm flying solo. So I did miss a step. We normally play I See My Possibilities. Just woke up and found them here in me. All right, so that's as much you're gonna get. So that takes care of that. But for now, we're going to play a clip a little bit longer because, for the same reason, we also have a little more time today for the beginning segment. And so we decided to play the whole of this interview with Wall Street Trapper. Those of you who've been with us for Wealth Creation and Preservation, you've heard of him before. I'm going to check in with my guest to find out. I think I heard that he's Muslim. I don't know, but I heard something like that. And it's all right if he's not. You don't have to be a Muslim to be on our program. So we're gonna have that, and we're going to be playing the whole piece. So the whole piece is like 20 minutes or so. And we know that he's full of information. He's got the receipts literally and figuratively for what he's talking about. So we want to get to it. So hang in there with us. And then after the Wall Street Trapper piece, we're going to have our interview with our special guests, the founders and leaders of the Melanin Gang, LLC, I believe it is. So we're going to get all that when we introduce them to you. So for now, let's go ahead and listen to what the Wall Street Trapper's got to tell us today.
Wealthy people, first they get into stocks, then they start a business, and then they get real estate. Owning a stock is owning a percentage of a great business. The people who aren't wealthy is because they don't own nothing. You only have your money sitting in cash. If your money is just sitting in cash, realistically, you're becoming poorer every day. The key to wealth is through ownership. At about 9 or 10, I saw my moms get shot in front of my face. My early years were surrounded with violence. I saw my mama selling drugs. I saw my mama robbing. I saw my moms get robbed. I saw her get shot, and then she later on went to prison, right? So I saw that early. At 14, my mom was in prison and I lost my grandmother, which was who I was living with at the time. 14, I'm homeless. I'm just on survival mode. Like the world, I just want to get to the next day. I want to make as much money as I can selling crack. So at 16, I go to prison for attempted murder on robbery. But in prison, I had a fight with two of my homies. In prison, we fight for like 4 hours.
Jeez.
Back to back, I'm just fighting one after another one. Like we just fighting. And I go to solitary confinement. And at this time, all these parish prisons is considered like one of the worst parish prisons in the United States of America, right? And I go to the cell and I meet this white guy. That was the turning point of my life. He was like, man, listen, man, there's a game that's being played and you're playing a game that you can't win. For a minute, I just started thinking about the people who I knew that was in the streets. Everybody lost, everybody suffered the same fate. He has on a red and white band at the time. The red and white band means you're in federal custody. The first 3 things was he said, listen, man, Wealthy people do three things, man. They stop trading time for money. They make their money work for them. And they give as much value to people as they can. And we got a little deeper into that. He said, the reason why you give people so much value is because if you give them so much value, they'll never leave you, and they'll always be there for you, and you will never need for anything as long as you give value to people. And so I learned that as I got older. That part really didn't make sense to me at the time, but the money working for you part, and I was like, how do you make your money work for you? Again, all I know is how to go get money. That's all I know. So later on in that, he says, wealthy people do three things. So we in a cell for about 45 days. Every conversation with him about money and transition was always wealthy people do. So he says, wealthy people, first they get into stocks, then they start a business, and then they get real estate. So when people ask me, how did I get into stocks? It's because I followed that rule. And so my rest of my time in prison, I wanted to be that. I wanted to be a part of that wealthy conversation. And so what happened to me was it started reminding me of being in the streets. Everything about it. And I heard this term one time that said, the real gangsters are on Wall Street. The real gangsters are in the government. And I was like, damn. The reason why people think wealthy people or people with money are sinister is because that's what you kind of taught in the hood. Like you kind of taught like the people who really have money, like they did some wicked shit to get it. They did some backstabbing, cut, get it, and you'll never get that, right? And so that same mentality now happens on a lower level, right? The hustling, the dope dealing. So now you think like, yo, I gotta just do sinister shit to get money. And then the people who are successful in the drug game, they're looking at the people at the top like, damn, I wanna be that. But the people at the bottom will never get a taste of that. And so now we just kind of living off ambition. And so now the people who in the middle who working, they're like, oh, them people with money, they all crooks. Because being at the bottom teaches you to envy people at the top. It just happens. It's something that brews down there, right? It's kind of like when you cook. I don't know if you had gumbo before, right? But it's kind of when you cook food, right? The base goes to the bottom. And so most people live in that bottom, never knowing how they'll get up there, right?
I remember, so when I was working in the inner cities, I remember having this moment where I was like, wait a second, this is not an intelligence problem. Intelligence is evenly distributed. Like I remember saying to my wife, the next Elon Musk is gonna be found somewhere in Compton. The problem is, he doesn't believe in himself. And so he's not gonna do anything. And so I became obsessed with this idea that generational poverty is not about money, it's about mindset. Now, it will manifest as money, but it is that, so I remember I had one kid come to me and I was the first person that told him, you can be successful. Like, why do you not think you can be successful? It didn't even make sense to me. And he was like, well, my mom always told me that the world didn't want to see people that look like me succeed. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I'm like, even if your mom had good intentions, that is the worst advice ever, because if you think you can't be successful, that will govern the way that you move, right? So Kobe Bryant, people that have listened to me for a while have heard this quote 1,000 times, but boos don't block dunks. The world can hate you all they want, but if you're good enough, think about this. The best basketball players in the world were paid millions of dollars to stop Kobe Bryant from scoring, and the scored 81 points in a single game. 81 points. When you've got 5 people paid millions of dollars actively trying to stop you, and they can't because you've gotten that good. That to me is the game of money. People can not want you to succeed all they want, but if you out-invest them, they can't stop you. So if people are not encouraging you to read, you're not going to read.
What happens is now, no one now believes that it's possible. Once you keep passing that down, you start accepting the lower level. And then there's a few of us or a few people who say, nah, I'm an outlier, yo, like I'm about to go for it. And then whatever happens, I'm with it. You feel me? So for me, again, one of the greatest things that happened to me was my mother telling me like the world is raw and you gotta get how you live. But I also saw my grandmother be a legal entrepreneur. So I saw it from both worlds. So while I'm in prison, I pick up a habit of reading. That was the game changer for me. On the streets, I never had the opportunity to just sit down and read because I'm always trying to survive. In prison, there was no longer a survivor mode there. I started hustling in prison. So I was working in the laundry And so your clothes don't really get clean. So I found a hustle like, yo, I'll wash your clothes when we do it, but it's $5 or $25 a month. So that gave me a whole another set of money. And then I started being like a numbers dude. How Vegas have the numbers, the betting, I became a numbers guy. So I used to get up in the mornings and watch CNBC. So mind you, people in prison, they love to watch The Young and the Restless. And so I would have to get up before them to watch like Squawk Box, Jim Cramer. And I'd just be like, damn, these motherfuckers get all this money and they not risking their life. Something gotta change for me. Like something gotta change. And so I just started listening to them every day and I started comparing it to the streets. A good business is just like a good hustler. A good business has great product. They have great clientele. A great hustler has a great product. He has consistent clientele. A good business on the stock market has what's called a moat, a competitive edge that keeps his competitors away. A good hustler on the street is gonna have that competitive edge where they be like, nah, yo, I ain't rocking with you. I'm gonna just wait till trap come back, right? So there's the competitive edge. A good business has a good branding moat, meaning my name is good, right? So a good hustler on the street, yo, Trap got that blue magic. I'm good on you. Like if I can't get Trap, I'm gonna just go Trap. But Trap got that blue magic, that's what I'm rocking with. Branding mode, right? That's it. A great business on the stock market has more assets, more liquidity than debt. A good hustler on the street is, if you don't learn how to fund your business, if you're operating where all you have is re-up money, you're not gonna last long. So those components reminded me the same. On the stock market, in the world, if a company's paying tariffs, that's equivalent to a dude on the street going pay draft to go hustle in somebody's hood. Like you can't hustle over here unless you pay me draft. It's the same as a tariff. It's the same thing. Yeah. So once I broke the game down to a way that I can understand it, it wasn't about me just being brilliant. It was like, yo, how do I make the game winnable for me? Like once you start understanding the fundamentals, you give yourself power because you now understand, like you said, you see how the machine works, right? And so most people look at the machine and marvel and say most people look at the stock market, 98% of the people who I know look at the stock market and say, yo, that's not a game I can play. I'm staying away from it. And so the way it's set up is, the world is set up, well, listen, cool, I don't even want you to play. Just give me your money, I'll play it for you. So when we look at like banks, like we understand that banks don't necessarily work in our favor, right? So banks only give us 0.05% interest on the money we have there. Well, we can get 8% just by putting our money in an index fund. So why would I just sit my money in a bank and let the bank make all the money? Because all they're gonna do is invest the money for you. So they're now operating as the plug. They operate now as the man who, I'm gonna front you this, I'm gonna make my money, I'm gonna take the cut, I'm gonna give you just enough to keep coming back. I wanna go to the plug. Who is the plug? The stock market. The relationship with money in my community is, you make money just enough to pay bills. And so once you get tired of paying bills, you say, you know what? I need to treat myself to something, right? No matter if I gotta go in debt, no matter if I need to treat myself to something to take this misery away. So you treat yourself to something that you can't afford at the time, right? But it makes you feel good in the moment. And so because it makes you feel good, you say, you know what? I'm living. This is a reprieve from everyday struggle. So that's the mindset comes in and say, everybody around me had the same problem. No one represented the solution. So if I don't change something, I'm only going to end up like everybody else I know. Somebody has the solution somewhere. There's too many people out here living the life of their dreams that I'm watching. They know something I don't know. And the only thing that they had was access to a different type of information. In 2010, this is after I'm home from prison now, right? I'm home from prison. I'm back in the streets hustling. Because even though I have the information, I don't have the money, right? And I'm like, well, I gotta get the money. My door gets kicked in 2010. They get 8 pounds of weed, $10,000. Yeah, by the cops. 8 pounds of weed, $10,000, a 223, a 40 with extended clip and a beam, and 100 X pills. So the cop tells me, you ain't learned your lesson. You ain't learned your lesson. And I was like, damn, that was some, right? Like I got knowledge, I got information, but I still fell victim to the same shit. that everybody around me knew. So therefore, the knowledge that I had wasn't powerful because it wasn't applied. So I was fortunate, God bless me. I wound up getting found out guilty because it's called fruit of a poisonous tree. So they kicked in my door, but they didn't have probable cause because they stopped me in my truck, didn't find nothing on me. So they went to my house, kicked the door in with no search warrant. So now everything you find is null and void. So now I get into the robbing game. So now I start robbing dope dealers. And I got in a situation where I was good at it. Me and my partner, God bless his soul. And then one day I almost got killed. And I go to my partner and I say, bro, I'm out. Like, it's a done deal. But when they kicked my door in, something happened. So they took my truck, they took my money, but they didn't mess with my stock account. I said, oh, okay. Start working as an iron worker, building stadiums, building power plants. It's crazy because I was making good money, $2,000 a week. That's good money to something. Like, yo, $2,000 a week, yo, that's it. $2,000, $2,500, like, it was amazing. I started saving and investing 70% of my money. I was living bare minimum. I was like, if I'm gonna change, I gotta make like the hard choices. It's hard for people to make sacrifice because you gotta now go against and do without some of the things that gives you that momentary gratification, that simple, that's what keeps you alive. That's what keeps you going. Just to go on vacation one time a year, to get these pair of shoes that may cost me $1,000. I know I can't afford them, but I've worked so hard, I need that just to keep giving me something.
You have a phrase, Wall Street looks like us now.
Wall Street looks like us now.
There's another phrase you say, but you should like put that same like stamp on it, is I own that.
I own that.
Because you talk about stocks in a way that sounds so rad, where it's like, you refer to yourself as an owner of the companies.
Yes.
And the thing is, it actually is true. Like you're not playing a linguistic game. It is true, but people don't think about it like that. But it's so much more powerful than having a cool pair of kicks is to say, I own the company that makes those kicks, or I own the company that makes that phone, or, you know, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, works for me. I'm a shareholder, right? It's really, really powerful. Explain that basic idea of ownership for people that might not quite put it together that stocks really are owning that company.
So I actually got that term from Warren Buffett in one of his meetings. I want to say it was the 1995 shareholder meeting. And he said that he owning a stock is owning a percentage of a great business. And so once I understood that concept, I understood that the key to wealth is through ownership. The people who aren't wealthy is because they don't own nothing. You only have your money sitting in cash. If your money is just sitting in cash, realistically, you're becoming poorer every day.
Right. Or they own depreciating assets.
And that's what cash is. It's a depreciating asset because the more money they print, the more money that money loses value. So if it's just sitting, it's the reason why the bank wants you to have your money there. So they can take it and use it and invest it so much and be like, hey, it's just sitting, I'm gonna give you 50 cents on whatever you had in there. Right. And so the idea of ownership was, yo, we can just start owning everything that no matter if it's just a stock, like that's powerful. Because if you can start owning the businesses that you now consume every day, you turn a one-time transaction to a lifetime of profit. And that was major for me, because if I go to the store and buy a pair of Nikes, that's a one-time transaction. In order for me to get something from them again, I gotta come back and buy another pair of Nikes. But if I own the Nike stock, long as I own it, it's a profitable vehicle for me. So that one-time transaction can become a lifetime of profit if I own that business. If I'm gonna buy Apple, if I know I'm an Apple user, if I know I got the phone, I got the AirPods, I got the MacBook, I got the PC, I excited when Apple's about to drop something, why wouldn't I own it? As much of it as I can, right? Like if I understand that concept, if I know America has one of the biggest trash problems in the world, right? So if I know that Waste Management is a company that's gonna be here forever because we aren't gonna stop throwing things away, why don't I own that company? Because I know everybody throws things away. And so now instead of me getting excited about Apple Lime being around the corner because it's a new phone, I'm like, yo, y'all about to make me some money, right? So when I hear a company like Waste Management has bought 40 acres of disposable land for another landfill, I'm excited about that. And another great thing about the stock market is for me, it now makes me pay attention to the world. And so now I understand what's going on in the world. I started learning business cycles, market cycles. You know what I'm saying? Like, because now I can understand, yo, this is okay. Things are going out of business. Okay, we're in this cycle. Okay, people are hiring. Okay, we're in expansion cycle. And so now I took an economic class on my own without just understanding the world. And so you start understanding when something is happening in China. Okay, something happening in China. So I own Apple. Apple has 20% of their revenue in China. Okay, they might take a little hit right now. You know what I'm saying? So the stock market helped me start understanding how the world moves, the fundamentals. Knowledge is what gives us leverage in life. It's not about how strong you are. It's about what you can learn. And then how can you actively apply that? I have this acronym called FEAR. Finally exiting average reality, right? And what happens is, until we can overcome the fear, some people actually fear success. Success comes with a lot, right? But until you can overcome that average reality that you're living in, no matter what you're on, once you become comfortable there, it becomes average. Anyone can live in average. Everyone can live in mediocrity, right? Then there's those outliers who consistently push themselves to go to the next level. And the thing about the human mind and the human body, it will go as far as you push it. As long as you believe in it. Like you said, the only belief that matters is, what do you believe you can do? I personally believe that there is nothing I cannot do. And for me, it's all about impact, purpose, fulfillment. Like, the money is a byproduct of everything else. That isn't my focus. My focus is I have a knowledge and information that I know that can change lives. Not just one life, not just like lives. And so the way that you change lives is by consistently learning, finding new ways to put that information out there, being able to open up, being able to be vulnerable, because people need to connect. People connect to knowledge in the way that they can see two things that help people: imagery and vocabulary. So for me, it's always about, how do I attain as much? It's always a challenge for me. How can I attain as much knowledge as I can? Because I love learning, but then how do I take that and be able to now reciprocate it or give it to somebody who may not understand calculus or trigonometry, but if I can give it to them in this way, they can say, oh yeah, I got it. And there's more people that struggled in the world that has become successful. So struggle has to become a language that I struggle. So that's the language I'm great at. So if I can break down things into a struggle language, now I make it the game winnable for everybody.
What do you say to people that don't think they have enough money to invest?
So the important thing for me to tell them is, start where you are. You build a house brick by brick. If we look back at our situation, you see you inherited that, whatever it is, that poverty. You inherited that mindset, that idea of scarcity, that idea that you don't have enough money. You inherited that. Building wealth becomes a revolutionary act, because now you start saying, I'm gonna go against what I was taught, right? And so I say, by starting with $25. If you can do $25 a month, that's cool. If you can do $25 a week, that's cool. Because what happens is, once you start understanding the power of how your money works, you'll start saying, yo, I don't need to do that, because that's taken away from this. That 25 will now become $50. Guaranteed. That 50 will now become 100, because you're gonna start doing more with less. Invest in your first stock. It don't have to be a winner. It doesn't have to be a home run. It can be an AT&T stock that costs $26 right now. It may not be the best investment in the world, but you started, right? And the great thing about anything is, you can't be great if you never go to practice. You can't hit 81 if you never get in the gym. So just get in the gym, and then find somebody who can teach you. Be dedicated to understand the process. We have to understand the power in learning and being educated, man.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All right, that's good stuff. And alhamdulillah, the beat continues. I see my possibilities. All right, enough of that. So, alhamdulillah, today I need to get rid of that video. Remove from the studio. All right. And add to the studio the folks.
Hey.
Can we get y'all both in the frame some kind
Yeah,
of
let me. There you go. Is that better?
Yeah, I mean, I got both of y'all in there. Let me see. This is new for me. Three folks at a time. Yeah, we good. So we only have the two, and that's one large frame.
Kids waking up and stuff. So
it's all right. It's all right. We just, there's an old song you might know about. If you hear any noise, it's just me and the boys. It's it's just that's life. That's part of what we're talking about anyway. Okay. So she's going to do a child care thing, right? Quick, is that right? You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay, so she went to do a child care thing. All right, child.
Yeah, they came down right when the video was done. So Nuri woke up and the Slaudine came down. So, but we got their room all straightened up. So we gonna turn that TV on and give us a little time to get this started.
Well, that's wonderful. That gives me opportunity to make a point that I wanna make. Let's see, because when I
can you hear me clear on this?
Oh, it's not here too.
Is that Miss Nuri that I'm hearing?
Yeah, she. Sorry, logging in the blog talk.
All right, I am still looking for something myself.
We're sorry, but the toll-free number for this show is currently full.
Oh, it won't let us in. It says full.
Says full. Okay. All right. Let's do this. So, Blog Talk folks, we're going to be both on Facebook and on that. But I think pretty much for as far as it stands right now, I lost y'all. Check back in when you get a chance. But let me do. I have to say this because thank you for your patience. There's a very important moment. Yes. So my guest's gonna be back any minute. There they are. They are here, and there you go. So yeah, so we got you both. Let me see how this.
Are we both in?
Okay, so it's better when I.
Oh, that's better.
Do it like that. All right. When Wall Street Trapper, we just played his piece, and he talked about his origin story, and a part of his origin story said he saw his mother get shot, like right there in his face. And I mentioned to you all before. Many people online will also know that one of the rappers from the group Outlaws. I mean, I think they were. Tupac was a part of that in the early days. His name was Napoleon. He and his brother also saw his mother, saw their mother, if not both their parents, because I know I think they were kind of orphaned out. Both their mother and father was killed, and they spent like 24 hours with the dead bodies, right? So I mean, that's a seriously traumatic situation. What he's saying, he saw his mother sell drugs, he saw his mother rob, he saw his mother get robbed. And so that is like between the early ages, those developmental stages, 10 and 14 years old. And then, he talked about his prison experience and, having a fighting for 4 hours, in prison. That's real serious. But there's a book, Outliers, which he mentioned in his interview, Wall Street Trap. I'm speaking of. He mentioned that that he was an outlier, meaning that he was going to be an outlier with regard to not, being, doubtful of himself and not feeling that he can't do this or that. Here's an outstanding little point that I get from that, because also I think about 50 Cent, right? He also has a similar story in terms of his parenting and the situations that he faced growing up. Well, this kind of thing is the kind of thing that Malcolm Gladwell in his book Outliers talked about, and I just want to mention that point, because there is a certain genius that he and the others that we have just spoken of. I mean, of course, I'm talking in the in the hip hop, music game, when I talk about Napoleon, when I talk about 50 Cent, and then now Wall Street Trap is like he was raised up in that particular kind of environment. But there's a genius from and seen in each one of them that indeed that Malcolm Gladwell in his book Outliers points out what's the difference between a genius and a prodigy, because you listen to a person like this and you see what they have done and you see what they came from. Sometimes, some people might just think it's just, quote unquote, a kind of I don't know, a fortunate. Well, he looked up on something, right? Yeah. But in actuality, it is those very conditions. I have notes that I'm not going to get into right now, but it's those very conditions that some of the greatest minds and greatest successes that we know of came up in that way. So let me just read the note that I'm trying to make clear. Okay, so here's what happened. Malcolm Gladwell, in his study, they studied inventors, creative types, and entrepreneurs, and they looked at the childhood difficulties and the parental loss of these entrepreneurs and these leaders and creative types, inventors, etc. Like Steve Jobs comes to mind right now, where it's like his father abandoned him and his mother in his situation, right? And Jeff Bezos, if you look at Jeff Bezos' history, he was also in a very similar parental loss situation. So he said the methodology that they used to study is they took a list of very famous people from the early Greek civilization up to the present day whose life merited more than one column in an encyclopedia. And the result was a list of 699 people. Then they found reliable biographies wherever was possible. And the result was that after 10 years and the study of 573 reliable biographies, 25% of those, these are all people who are at the top, who garnered attention in the world from Greek civilization to the time of this particular study, 25% of them had lost a parent before the age of 10. And by the age of 15, 34.5% had at least one parent to die. By the age of 20, 45% had at least one parent die. And so the real peculiar thing that I want to point to, and we would call it counterintuitive, is that a similar study at the height of the British Empire in 19th century, that 67% of the prime ministers had lost a parent before the age of 16, and the same percentage of parental loss applies to American residents. The scholarly literature had found that many gifted children, where we're trying to get to, many gifted children failed to live up to their promise because they inherited an excessive amount of psychological health, meaning that they were gifted, but their parental nourishment and nurturance didn't really allow their genius to flower, So that that the early death of a parent is problematic is supported by the fact that among the prison population, there are 2 or 3 times likely more to have lost a parent in childhood. And the counterintuitive point is this. Nevertheless, that is, despite all these numbers, right? Nevertheless, while it is true that gifted children and prodigies thrive in highly supportive family condition, that is, if you come from a family condition where there's a lot of support from the mother and from the father, both parents present, etc., you can get excellence and do get excellence out of that. It doesn't mean every time you have, healthy and whole parenting situations that everybody from that set is going to be gifted or prodigies. But what they're pointing out is that, yes, they thrive. Here's the but geniuses have a tendency to grow up in more adverse conditions, meaning the real outliers come from some hard situations, right? So when I look at his backstory, and when we look at the outcome that we're seeing in him, Wall Street Trapper, when we look at it, that's a case in point in terms of how it happens. That's a whole nother conversation about why there is either unrealized but potential for so much greatness in this same group that have many of whom have this same story, but they don't take the route out that Wall Street Trapper is talking about, and don't see, even in the difficulty that they came up under and that they came through, that really was a cauldron of their germinating an excellence in them that they may not recognize. Some now maybe are just anxious, depressed, doubting themselves, having a sense of hopelessness and desperation, when in fact the very conditions that you came from are the conditions that have bred into you. If you go down and get it, it has bred into you a genius that now you have to uncover and discover. The last point I'm going to make on this is that difficult challenges and parental loss was suffered by Nelson Mandela. His father died when he was 9. Steve Jobs, orphaned as a baby. Then he was adopted. Bill Clinton, his father died in a car accident before he was born. Malcolm X's father was murdered by white racists when he was 6 years old. Ella Fitzgerald, both her parents died when she was a child. Ray Charles, Babe Ruth, Jamie Foxx, George Washington Carver, Aristotle, etc., etc. And Elon Musk, I'm not even going to go into it. Look at Elon Musk's history. Just find it so you can find a little YouTube clip about Elon Musk's background. He had very serious challenges in the nature of his family as well. All right. So I have
something to add to that.
Go ahead.
So I was doing my walks, and lately I've been rereading a lot of books that I have already read. So I'm reading this one again. Have you heard of this one?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay,
that's one of my OG publications.
Oh yeah. It's wild because I finished this book, but reading it in a different mindset is hitting me in a different way. So as I was, and this is tied on to what you're saying, like how a lot of these geniuses, right, they have parental issues or deaths or anything, right? And it reminded me of this part in the book that so they had an example on there of how there's people, let's say a BART train, right? There's people on a BART train, they're all peaceful, they're looking out the window, they're relaxed. And then this family comes on, this guy, he has his children, and they're loud and they're touching people and they're just being obnoxious, right? And the guy says, hey, you gonna control your kids or whatever? And the guy says, oh, you know what? Maybe I should control them, right? And he says, but their mother just died and I just lost my wife. And then the guy goes from feeling annoyed that the kids are doing that to he's feeling bad and, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And, and he's not even thinking about the kids doing what they're doing, right? So it talks about how when our when our thoughts or whatever just get shifted, right? Where you start to see things differently, and because you saw things differently, you think differently, and you feel differently, and you behave differently. So those people, you know, those things happen to us in life, but once we shift our thinking and our mindset, then things start to connect.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So we already just kind of jumped into this conversation, but I see the label on there, the Shuaibs. But who are you guys? Who are you? Tell the world.
I'm Muhammad Shuaib, son of Imam Fahim Shuaib, and this is my wife Maisha Shuaib. We met at Claire Muhammad School.
First grade.
First grade is when we met.
Yeah.
And made it official in high school, and here we are 3 kids later.
Allahu Akbar. Tell us about your kids. I think I'm wearing them on my shirt, right?
So the girl in the logo is our oldest daughter, Soraya, who's 7, and then the other image is Salahuddin, who is 5. And they're the representation of Melanin Gang.
Allahu Akbar.
Nuri's not on there. She was after.
That's what I was just about to say. It's like we have to rebrand her some kind of way, you know, bring her into the mix, because you all are constantly growing. I know, and we'll get to it, but I want to mention, because I'm aware of it, you know, the Give Back Gang. So y'all got a lot of gang stuff going on. What's up y'all in the gang?
You know, it's kind of
who you repping?
Unintentionally, it's just like that was my first time listening to Wall Street Trapper, but the fact that he put Wall Street and Trapper, he's flipping it. He's trying to show the connections and bringing it back to who we are. So we wanted to take gang is considered negative, right? When people read gang anywhere, they're like, oh, what's that? You know, so we flipping it into something positive and making it back to ours.
Yeah. So, you know, what they call that in secular academic language is reoccupying the pejorative, right? So it's a pejorative term, but it's like, we're going to flip it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe y'all can tell me, because I know Muhammad deals technically and deals with the music and the beats, etc. What's that song? It say, I'll Be That. Somebody way back in the day where people, I think it's the one that the brother, he said he's a Muslim. Let's just say, if he say he's a Muslim, he's a Muslim. He rapped real fast. He did.
Twist.
What's his name?
Twister.
No, or Busta Rhymes.
That's probably too old for you. Busta Rhymes. That's
Busta Rhymes. Okay.
And it was just the idea is like, okay, I'll be that. That's who you say I am. I'll be that. You know, it's just like when people say nigga, right? You got some people. Nigga is not the way that when my family, when we grew up. Okay, Abdul Shakur, he said that's Red Man. Yeah, I think it might have been Red Man.
Okay.
Part of the Wu-Tang Clan or somebody.
Yeah.
All right, but so that's telling my age. if the beard don't do it. the idea is, and that's what we have to do. It's like some people are actually still trying to do the same thing with black, even Muslims trying to do the same thing with black. Yeah, I'm a black Muslim, right? But they have that tied to the Saeed and the terminology, the Arabic terminology, where Saeed or black is the Aswad and Sudan, and it relates to that, not the white supremacist blackness, but to the Saeed and the blackness, the Aswad and the blackness of the language of Arabic. Speaking of Claire Muhammad School, we're going to continue it with the Melanin Gang introduction, but that Claire Muhammad School, you say you met in the first grade, and both of you were very deeply taught memorization of the Quran, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that that idea, that spirit, that Claire Muhammad School experience, how much has it affected you?
I mean, I would say it affected us in a very positive way. We reflect back on it all the time and say how, like, there's things that people look for in schools that we had, right? Like a lot of people are looking for more representation in schools. We had all Black teachers, you know, our principal was Black, director was Black, people running in the front was Black. We had that full Black Muslim experience. And it was close knit. And I feel like we were taught things that people are itching to be taught into classes now. And we don't take that for granted.
It was a great experience. It's an experience that we need now. I think it was a little ahead of its time, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think right now would be perfect. You know what I mean? Yes, you know, some people complain about the size of it, and you know, because once you get out into the real world, you know, you realize how big the world really is, and you come from that small environment, and sometimes you're not ready for, you know, the challenges that come outside of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of the things in terms of if you was really, you know, taking heed of some of the things we was learning to be leaders. We was learning to be able to, you know, control the room. We was learning to be able to move on our own, you know what I mean? And if you really learned that, and you didn't learn it in class per se, you kind of learned it by watching the people around you, watching the adults, watching the teachers, watching, you know, the community and how to move around. If you wasn't really paying attention, then when you got into that real world, you kind of got slapped in the face a little bit because the game, you wasn't really paying attention to all of the information, all of the subliminals that we was given, the knowledge, the gems. So yeah, the small environment. I mean, I was even affected by it when I got out into the public space in terms of just not being ready for some of the things. But I always had the knowledge to be able to get back to the source and get back to what I was taught, and I never went too far off the edge. You know what I'm saying? I never jumped off the cliff. I might have visited the cliff. I might have looked. You know what I mean? But I always knew what the ledge was, you know what I'm saying? And know the ledge knowledge, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the game that they gave us. So yeah, some people from Claire Muhammad, and not just our Claire Muhammad, but other Claire Muhammads across the country, you know, they probably are doing good, but it's also some that, you know, probably didn't do as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I bear witness. And so as parents, then I would say that it's clear that there was some pressure on you with your concern for the future of your children. Was that a part of the motivation for starting the Melanin Gang? And plus, just give us a little idea of the origin story for the Melanin Gang.
I would say it actually started with us working in corporate America. I would say we were noticing how much time. I think you said, what did you say earlier? Trading in your time for money, right? We were managers for AT&T, and we spent a lot of time away from home. Actually, the first 2 children that we had to report back to work, 3 months after them being born. And anybody knows 3 months, that's not enough bonding time at all. We were recognizing just how much time we were spending just to make them even more a richer company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it just we was managers, of course, but we was sales reps and stuff like that too. And we was there for a long time. And
8 years, 7 years.
Yeah, the stuff that we learned from the company is vital information for us to do what we doing now. So without working for the corporate America, we probably wouldn't have had the steps to be able to do what we doing now. So it is a level of appreciating the journey and the process of, it's like when Wall Street went to jail and then, he talked to the guy and then bam, if he didn't go to jail, then he probably wouldn't have got the game that he got. You know what I'm saying? So it's a part of the game. So appreciative, but sometimes you got to know when to get out of it. You know what I'm saying? And we knew when to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
And our kids was our motivation, obviously, because we didn't have enough time to spend with them. She couldn't really breastfeed them as much and spend time with as much. So it was like, all right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and, I left first. I ended up doing Uber and Lyft for like 2.5 years. And that was my first taste of quote unquote entrepreneurship, being able to wake up on your own schedule, you know what I'm saying? Drive when you want to drive, you know what I mean? So that kind of gave me a glimpse of what it looks like to be your own boss per se. And then, that took care of responsibilities enough at the house. And then she stayed a little bit longer. And then after that, it was a point in time where she was getting targeted just in terms of how they was treating her and stuff like that. She very strong. She doesn't, she's not going to not say nothing if something's going wrong. And a lot of times people can't handle that not necessarily pushback, but just somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. So they was giving her a hard time, and I tried to get her to stay as long as she could because we need that little extra unemployment. But she was like, "No, I gotta go." So
we decided to leave.
Fortunately for us, we was already in the midst of working on something. Like we had like little buttons for the business.
Sure.
And we was already, she's a social media savant, so we was already kind of pushing and doing that, and we would get some good feedback from there. And it was just like, all right, if we get unemployment, then we just use that to invest in the business.
Yeah. We took that gamble.
Yeah, and you all, of course, I'm familiar, at least from a relative outsider's point of view. You are not operating like somebody that just dropped down at a flea market, or just somebody that just get a vending table and doing that. Y'all got paper.
We always said from the beginning that like we don't have to come out like that, right? Like, oh, we just started. We could come out swinging, right? Like we are the Targets, we are the Walmarts, and that's how we always said we were gonna move, and we're gonna continue to move like that.
So is it Melanin Gang LLC or what?
Yeah, we're registered under Melanin Gang LLC, doing business as Melanin Gang.
Okay, so what does it mean to LLC? What's the big deal? What is it rather than what, a chapter S or whatever? I mean, you operate from that perspective. What's the benefits of the LLC?
To be 100% honest, when COVID happened, and they were the SBA was like, they had all this like money to give to small businesses to help out, right? And when we tried, and by then we were doing amazing online. We had vending events, but we were not a LLC. It wasn't until we tried to get some of that funding where they said to me, "Hey, you got to be an LLC. Go apply, get your paperwork in." And that's where we started to make things like LLC and what's the other ones? Just that type of paperwork to make sure that we was covering that, and that we were doing what we were supposed to do in that, because it could prevent you from getting grants and things like that when they're giving them out.
So what's your mission? I mean, the mission and the values of your brand. I mean, taking Melanin Gang as the brand. Why do you exist? I mean, what are you trying to accomplish? Where are you trying to go?
I mean, there's really with our 3 words: to inspire, celebrate, and empower everybody, not just youth, but also adults too as well. The biggest thing is, the foundation that was instilled in me from, Claire Muhammad and stuff like that, was to give back to the community. You know what I mean? And the community is so important to me, just in terms of I understand how it can build somebody up. I understand how that foundation of community is pretty much vital. And not having, the community that I had, we have a community, but it's not as big, of course. But just being able to build something not only at the masjid, but also in Oakland in general is important, you know what I mean? Because we're not going to be here, you know what I mean? We all got to go, So if you can leave a foundation, something that's built to where, kids and people like-minded can come together about business, can come together about schools, can come together about whatever, you know what I'm saying? We want to be a part of that. So it's not just the clothing, it's not just books, it's not just throwing events. It's a way you move. It's a lifestyle.
It's the seed that we're planting too. Around that time when we started too, a lot of people were looking for the Gucci's and the Louis and stuff to show proper representation for Black people. That's what we're saying. Why? We could do those things ourselves. We can inspire ourselves to chase our dreams and not be held back by fears, to celebrate our own beauties and our wins, and then empower us to overcome anything meant to destroy us. And that's where those three core values come from.
Yeah. Now, I failed to bring an example, bad host, bring a model of your first book, your first project. You got any handy around?
Is the one in the drawer?
I think so.
It's right in the drawer.
Yeah. Because what I want you also to tell us a story about, because when I first laid eyes on this first project of yours, because of course you have another project, 1 or 2 new projects that I want to hear from you about. just give us a story. Like the artwork is top flight. The artwork is like there's not a library or any other place. I'm gonna make you guys bigger. Let's see if I can do that.
Oh, you might want to do that. So, Melanin Gang at ABC Affirmation book came from the idea of during the pandemic, of course, during that time, I was real heavy. You're not frozen, are you? Oh, you just did. I was heavy on doing like affirmations and a lot of self-work because I was going through personal stuff around that time too. So I would say affirmations to myself every morning. I would say that in the mirror. And Soraya, who was, how old was she around that time? Maybe about 5. She was 5 and she would see me do it and she was like, I want to say them too. So we would say them together. And then me and Muhammad came with this idea of we should make an affirmation book for children because we know the importance of helping, teaching children to encourage their self, believe in their self and love their self because like that guy, I don't know what the white man's name was, but like he said, if they don't believe it inside, then it doesn't matter what you tell them. Or they have to believe that within themselves. So that's how we came up with this affirmation book. And we wanted to use big words. So you'll see enthusiasm and fearless because they should know those words, those positive words. And we wanted children to see themselves and not funny shapes and characters, but actually see themselves. So they'll have hairstyles that Black children usually, wear.
So in bringing it to the public, walk us through your early days and your early experiences and what you have to do to work to get people to understand out of the old paradigm when you talk about Melanin Gang and being inclusive in that respect, and what do you mean when you talk about being inclusive, and what are some of the things that people mostly perhaps misunderstand?
Well, we'll say hands out the door. We said it has to be. We didn't feel a need to involve any other race, right? Because we wanted it to make it about Black children, right? And for them to see themselves. Because if there was anything else that you was looking for, maybe I don't need to mention any race, but if you were looking for that and this wasn't that, right? This is exclusively for. I mean, other races could buy it and they could teach their kids, but it was made for. Can you see it?
Yes.
It's
dedicated to the young Black kings and queens of the world. Right.
This is who it was made for. We wanted to see them. So.
Yeah, I mean they got everything. Every other race has a whole lot of they got options. You know what I'm saying? In essence, and we some books out there that we have options, but a lot of times, honestly, it's about hair, it's about confidence and things of that nature, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the biggest thing is we want to just kind of like etch our name in a different direction than everybody else, and it just makes us stand out. It wasn't too many affirmation books out. Now it's a couple out. I'm not sure if we had anything to do with that, but I'm seeing a lot more now. And
I think an example too of like a lot. I can't even tell you how many times there have been a couple people that say $30.
Yeah.
$30. Who ain't nobody gonna buy a book for $30? And we either we don't say anything or we say we can't even tell you how many people buy the book for $30 or how many book sales we have. And it's another lesson of not let other people's fears like stop you from what you want to do.
Right.
And the value behind the 30. You know what I mean? It's like how important is like you got a granddaughter, you got a child, you got a mixed baby, whatever the case may be. It's $30 that it's not you know what I'm saying? It's spending that money for them to have, learn affirmations. Is it, you know what I'm saying? Is that too much? You know what I mean? Like you got to ask yourself that, especially sometimes they come out of the table and they got Gucci on, they got Fendi on, they got Louis on, they got all these expensive brands and stuff like that. And you saying $30 is too much for your granddaughter, for your, you know what I mean? And it's not like we, you know what I'm saying, we got this book made and somebody paid for it. No, this came out of our own pocket. We did this all in-house, you know what I mean? So we're gonna need a little extra on top. But at the same time, the value that we bring, you know what I'm saying, when you talk to me, when you talk to her, when you see us in person, when you feel the energy, you know what I mean? The biggest thing is always having a good energy around the business. You know what I mean? Like you can have the Apples and the Walmarts and stuff like that, but if you treat people like dog shit, it don't matter. You know what I mean? So you got to make sure that you treat everybody that comes and talks to you and asks you even a simple question like, what is melanin? Or why do you give them the best possible answer you can possibly give them, because at that point they don't become a customer, they become family. They become somebody that's always going to be subscribed to what you got going on. So the more you talk to people, the more you connect with people, you know what I'm saying, they start understanding the mission without even have to explain it to them. You know, they can just see it in when they talk to me or when they talk to her. So that's the biggest thing. Is sometimes, just go and say it, white folks, they come to the table, and sometimes it do be a little some guilt buying, stuff like that here and there. And it is what it is. Yeah, we have to do this because, you know what I'm saying, the way that the system has been built for us hasn't been, beneficial per se. You know what I mean? So we want to make sure that we do what we can on our part to help our people in the best way we can. If we start with the kids, at a younger age, when they get our age, maybe they can be, or hopefully they will be bigger than what we are. That's the goal.
So what has been the institutional response, and what have you learned about dealing with institutions in this kind of material?
They love it.
It's getting into schools.
They love it. I think it's starting. We have to put the we get to A, and we get to B, and then we get to C, but then like getting to letter D in terms of like getting it into libraries, into schools, and knowing what that process looks like, that kind of holds us up. But we had
to make like a curriculum, right, where we could present to them, and then they could figure out how to utilize it in the schools.
Yeah, but every teacher come to the table. They're a teacher. They want to buy for their students. They want to buy for their class. Anytime we meet a principal, they want to see how can they order books. I mean, like sometimes they're just having a conversation, just saying stuff just to make you feel good or whatever. But just the fact that they even think about it, you know what I'm saying, or saying they consider that,
there's been a lot of times too where we have follow-ups that have actually went through with the bulk orders.
For sure.
So it happens, as long as we get the word out, we're grateful for that too.
All right, well, don't y'all tell nobody, but you need to put AI on the job of creating a curriculum for your book, and then it's a pat curriculum. It's like, okay, boom. Oh, you need a curriculum? Here, boom, right here. Yeah. You can have your whole, whether you want to put it on QR code or you put it as a part of the whole thing. I mean, that's the beautiful thing. Like you put me on something yesterday.
Oh, you like it?
Yeah, but I'll be getting it tomorrow. I won't put all my business on the street, but people need to know. I mean, that's why when people come here, they need to hear something that ain't nobody else going to tell you straight out, or they won't be able to give you a quote unquote acceptable, believable recommendation. Mm-hmm. And so from what I see on that video AI that you pointed out, it's like, man, that's a lifesaver, a time saver.
And those are resources too. I mean, that's how we were able to self-publish our book and a lot of our products through using a resource like Alibaba.
Yeah. And that's about getting out there and doing it. You got to put in the time, you got to put in the grind and make it happen. And I'm proud of you all for that. Speaking of which, you guys did quite a bit of traveling. What was it, last month and the beginning of this month?
It was the end of June. Yeah, the end of June, because that's when we went to Essence.
Okay. When was your New York? Let's start with the New York trip. Then you all went to New York.
So last year in September, we went. That was our first trip across the country. We went to Afropunk, and we got invited to Vended Afropunk. That was our first time bringing, the gang to New York, and it was 2 days. It was a festival, and it was. I would say it was amazing.
No, it was good. I mean, that was my first time in New York. Period. So the fact that the business has been able to allow us to travel and go around to different states. I've left California maybe once or twice. I mean, went to Chicago as an Arabic reciter twice, and then I went to Atlanta, with Mikhail for music. But other than that, that was my first time ever leaving leaving California for business. So that was great. You know what I mean? And we didn't sell everything, but what happened is we was able to donate books to a masjid out there.
Some public schools out there
too as well. And it's out there. So, and then also in New Orleans, we did good in New Orleans too as well. And just talking and networking, and everywhere we went, it's always been good energy about what we're doing. And everybody always tells us we're gonna sell out. You know what I mean? And we haven't sold out yet, but we appreciate the energy and the kind words and stuff like that. But we got to be, a little realistic with some of the things that we bring out.
Full transparency. I mean, we definitely are feeling more of the downs on the business end. I mean, it has ups and downs. We're more of the downs, you know, and sometimes we look at these trips like, you know, we had to bite the expense, you know, but it's just the experience of being able to do it, right?
I mean, that's what builds is experience, right? Imam Muhammad, rahimahullah, one of the analogies that he has used for as far as business is concerned, it's like he said, you know, for the first 5 years, XYZ of a business, you don't expect any returns. And he said it's like a child. It's like that child that's in your arms right now. It's like, okay, there's going to be a time where she's going to be able to help you with some things that it's just no way for her to help you with those things right now, right? And so it's the same way with business, right? But you have to nurture the business. You have to feed the business. You have to cultivate the business. You have to give the business what it needs to strengthen its legs, its arms, its body, etc. And then it's going to give the return. So it's like it's right for the plan. And the nature of entrepreneurship and business is that no, it does those level of sustain your life returns, you're not there yet, just in the context of just time itself. The issue is, and you all know this, just on your t-shirt right now, it said go harder, girl. Go harder, sis, right? It's like that's what you have to do. You all have give us some of the titles on your shirts. I know the one
we have Muhammad's favorite, which is it's purposely upside down. It says you can't see up when looking down. So it's a reminder to keep your head up, you know, because if you're looking down, then how can you see up?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Go Harder, sis. What's the other one?
Wake Up and Live.
Wake Up and Live. You know, every day is the opportunity to live your life to the fullest.
Yeah.
Fear the enemy, trusting God.
Yeah.
There's another one. What else do we got? That's pretty much.
That's pretty much.
And then in the logo hoodie, of course.
Okay, so this right here, right?
Yeah,
that's exclusive.
But there's another one. There's another one you have. It's the same.
Powerful.
Yeah. It's like that, with that big lettering on the side.
Yeah.
It's like you just feel strong when it's like right there, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like I wanted to wear this one today, but that one when I put that one on, it has that. It's sort of like a Superman cape.
That's what it's supposed to feel like.
Make you strong, make you powerful. All right. So in terms of your other, you have a couple of other things that are going on. You moved on to when you talk. I know of one, the idea of the Give Back Gang. You collaborated with Masjid al-Watheen and New Africa Kitchen to have a community barbecue, a free barbecue, and that was a smash. Tell us about that experience and about relating to, because there are many others out there who are in masjid communities and the like, and the idea of working with your community to try to bring about the good that it stands for.
Give Back Gang came from during a lot of the times when we were popping up at schools and doing like read out louds and giving back to the community through Melanin Gang. We had the idea of we need to make a nonprofit, right? Because this is what nonprofit does, and their own paperwork, and then you can get grants and things like that. The same thing. So we went out and we got approved for a 501(c)(3) for Give Back Gang. And we said our first event would have to be, connected with the masjid from our foundation where it started for us. And we had the idea. Well, actually, initially, Muhammad's idea was to do, what was it? The free breakfast.
So we had met a
Elaine
woman.
Brown.
Yeah, we had met a woman named Elaine.
Oh yeah, Black Panthers.
Yeah. It's kind of like I don't know if
we didn't know who, to be honest. We didn't know who had came up to our table. We were vending at Jack London.
She wasn't the nicest lady though. I'm just gonna keep it up.
We didn't know who it was. We greeted her with a warm greeting like we do everybody else.
Let me tell you. So she expected us to know who
like
she
a
was.
Full celebrity.
Yeah.
Because of what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Going to what we doing. She expected us to 100% know who she was. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like to her, the way she was kind of acting, the way her energy was kind of like we faking the funk almost. Like, y'all just doing this. You know what I mean? So, but I had, she had mentioned something about, giving out free food and open or something like that back in the day. And I know Melanin Gang in general, like I said, we're not just a clothing brand, like we're much more than that. And you want to take certain things from different people that, like, from the Malcolm X, from the Martin Luther Kings, from the Black Panthers, from whoever may be doing something. You don't want to take the military type of stuff, but you also want to take some of the good, from that. And I just thought, like that would be a great first event, to be able to give back free food to the community. And yeah, we had a lot of random people show up too. It was like, that they was walking down the street, and I was like, look, come on, this is good. Like, y'all can come eat. And they sat the whole time and ate there. Sat amongst Muslims. Not Muslims, and was just chilling. I had a good time, and that's what it's about. Because I think throughout that process, we can build up the community. Build it back to what it once was, and bringing new energy, fresh energy into the situation is one of the goals, So that's one event, but we definitely planning on doing more for that too as well, and also outside of the masjid too as well, to get more into the community too. So we're working a lot of different things, man, and it's just a constant trying to just grow everything about Oakland, everything about community in essence, not just in Oakland, but if we can reach further than that, that'll be nice too as well.
Alhamdulillah. This is a real sidebar. It's like, hey, look, I don't know what's gonna happen, but life goes on. It's like, if that woman walked up next to me, I wouldn't know her either.
Yeah.
I would think, hey, you should know me by now. But
it wasn't like, like I was still real. I was still real respectful.
She said Google me, remember?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she said
Google me
when she walked away.
Yeah.
When I walked away from, I was real respectful. I didn't side eye.
I get it.
Put in work. I get it. Are we supposed to know?
There's a conversation to be had about the intergenerational bridges that were or were not built, and the way a person sees himself versus the way that the world as it is right now sees them. Mashallah, that's a whole nother psychological dimension of the whole thing. But that's also a part of the reality of, okay, well, we here now. Okay, what we gonna do? How can you make it happen, right?
But that's a testament too, that we literally treat every person that comes up to our table, every customer, we treat everybody the same, right? Everybody's a celebrity in our book.
Yeah. And this is what I have to admit, Lukman, I call him Lukman, everybody else call him Muhammad, Mo, boo. Is that I'm gonna tell you, this is when I saw you, the way you were moving at the community the free community said, I really saw your customer service, man. I mean, it's like, damn, this boy, he's real customer service, right? It's like, could nobody walk by without getting a smile and a conversation and an energetic boost of some type. I'm really proud of you on that.
That's what makes everything go. You know what I mean? Like, if you, as a celebrity, if you meet your favorite celebrity, your favorite basketball player, if he treats you like you don't exist, you don't no longer, you're not a fan of him no more. Like, if you was to meet Steph Curry and he's not the Steph we see on TV, are you really be a fan of him? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, we are in a position, to be able to impact people's lives, and not only kids, but also adults too. Yeah. And the way you treat somebody, when you make somebody feel seen, you'd be surprised how many people that if you just say hey to them, how you doing? You know what I mean? You walk by the table and they just spill out whatever, and then you be able to just listen to it, and what I'm saying, and take time out of your schedule to be able to give them some time. It changes their dynamic on Black businesses, change dynamic on Black people in general, because it's hard to walk down the street and say what's up to another Black man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's tough. It's tough. I like that. You know what I mean? Like, I go to the gym and I could talk to a Hispanic. I could talk to somebody white. But when it comes to somebody black, it's always like, you know what I mean, a little iffy, like what you on, you know what I mean? And it's tough. It's tough. And then once we open that door, it's like, okay, the door open. Okay, we good. You know what I mean? And you got to meet on some kind of common ground or whatever. But anytime an African American comes to the table, I always want to give them, the utmost respect. I want to make them feel like who they think they are when they look in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? I want to make them feel like that. And for the most part, that's what keeps the engine going. You know what I'm saying? Making them feel great. And they'll spread the word and they'll tell them, and hey, he went Melanin gang, this, woo, woo, woo. And he met the wife and woo, woo, all that. And then that continues and that builds it all up. So, we whoever.
Anywhere they see us, they say hello.
We was in
New York. We had people coming up to us.
I'm talking about just celebrities. You know, celebrities is taking notice of what we doing. You know what I mean? Like they come to our table, like we ain't gotta fan them down, we ain't gotta run chase nobody down. Like they'll come to us naturally. You know what I'm saying? And they ain't like we fanning out or like we like or just hey, like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like, we know you're a celebrity, but in our world we celebrities too. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna treat you like you're human. We're not gonna treat you like you're a celebrity. We're gonna treat you with respect, and we expect the same. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. So I'm glad you seen that, man. I'm glad
No, I got it. I mean, your energy was covering the whole spot like a superhero, man.
Yeah, man. Alhamdulillah.
You had it covered. And I remember also during the celebration for the Warriors, San Francisco, was that? Yeah, it had to be San Francisco because that's where they wanted that. Yeah. Didn't y'all get your book through to?
He wasn't there. He didn't. He has moments where he don't want to be near people. He didn't go. But my mom and I took the kids and we went. And actually, so my mom did that. So she, she had her loud moment and got the book to one of the. Is he coaches?
Gary
Payton's bus.
Okay. That's good. So we got out there. So alhamdulillah. So in terms of, there was a thing that I just got from you this week. Yeah. A new project. What is that?
The Exploring Emotions activity book for the kids.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're thinking we're in a mindset now of can we create multiple streams of income, right? Mm-hmm. And one that we had came up with was publishing a book on Amazon, right? Because Amazon got it on monopoly, right? Where you can self-publish a book, but you cannot advertise and do certain features on there unless you let them produce it through KDP. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, and I think what's the research on it? Amazon makes a million per minute. They have a huge market, and it's a market that we want to tap into. And it's also, and right now we're dealing with lack of capital. So what KDP provides us is that we created this workbook, which we have been working on for how long? If Nuri's since we started the book. So it's been about 2 years. We were working on this. We just didn't have the capital to do it. But through KDP, we were able to upload our work, and then we don't get charged for the cost of the book until someone buys it. So that eliminated the issue of not having the capital, but we can still put our work out there.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Do you have a sample of that or some kind of?
It didn't come on time. We don't get it till Wednesday. Yeah, but it's a workbook about exploring emotions for kids ages 4 to 10, 3 to 10. I mean, you never know. These children soak up things. I mean, Nuri every day she says something or sings something, and we'd be like, "When did you learn that?" But it's going over the emotions of happy, sad, rejected, things like that, so they could learn different emotions. And it's also incorporating fun activities like word searches, which is fine motor skills, coloring, which is therapeutic, things like that.
Okay, so how do people get your material? How do they get?
So we pop up at various events, which we have a calendar on our website. We also sell it online at www.melaningang.com. And then for the workbook and the Melanin Gang coloring book, you can get exclusively on Amazon. Mm-hmm.
So it's www.melanin.
Gang.com.
Is that ANIN?
So it's www.melaningang, MELANIN, and then GANG.com. Let me see if I could type it. Can I type it?
Yeah, I'm trying to throw it up on the.
Okay. Oh, I see. Oh, I see all these comments. Oh, he won't even let me type it, huh?
No, tell me. I'm typing.
Oh, you type it? Okay, you got Melanin Gang?
I got Melanin Gang, yeah.
And then on Amazon, if you put in Exploring Emotions Activity Book for Kids.
Okay, hold up. So do I start with Melanin, www.melaningang, then what comes right after the G?
.com.
.com. All right. All right. So then after that, you explore. What were you saying?
That's just for like our shirts, the Melanin Gang book, hats and things. If you want to get the workbook, that's exclusively on Amazon.com.
Okay. All right, but they'll be directed to all of that by going first to www.melanin.com.
No, I need to add that on there. You make a good point. No, I didn't do that yet.
Okay, well, inshallah, we'll get to that. Alhamdulillah.
It's fresh. It's literally fresh off the press. This is breaking.
Today.
This is breaking news.
Breaking news. We broke it here first, right?
So
we got that exclusive.
This is another one of the, you know what I'm saying, growing things that we're doing that we added to what we're trying to do. You know what I mean? So it's another layer of the business that we add into it. So, bro, y'all heard it here first.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And because I'm thinking about, there's a movie. I think there's a movie out right now, children's movie, quote unquote, Elemental. And then there was another one, Inside Out. I think it was.
Yeah,
I like that one. Yeah,
where it was doing just that. Trying to get people, and mainly, of course, the invitation is for children to get a sense of themselves, and it's just saying that the need to understand ourselves in those detailed kind of way. So I know that's one of the things that we should be excited about getting our hands on soon. Is there some other kind of event or activity that we should be excited about?
No, we also turned, of course, the Melanin Gang book into a coloring book, which is also exclusively on Amazon. And we're also working on a book about autism, right? Because our 5-year-old Salahuddin has autism. And we're just going to talk about the journey of a sibling, going through that with them. Because it's challenging, and it has its great moments for us as parents. It could be a little challenging for a sibling.
Yeah.
And for them to understand what that means and how they can help. And they have a better understanding. So
no, that's very good. And when there's a saying that I use as a public speaker, it said things go to where they come from, right? So if I'm only talking to you from my head, then it'll go from my head to your head. If I'm speaking to you from my heart, it will go from my heart to your heart. If I'm speaking to you from my soul, it'll go from my soul to your soul, right? And the other is that whatever is most personal is most universal. Whatever is most personal is most universal. You're only going to be able to be strong in your touch and your ability to deliver value to the extent that you can really, truly empathize with the people that you're trying to reach, right? And the people that you're trying to reach, they're going to know where it's coming from. Oh, he's just talking from his head. Oh, he is talking from his heart. And so it's like if you don't have all those things connected, that value that's spoken of that you have to deliver is not going to come through. And I'm saying I honor that aspiration because it's coming from a place that's your real experience, right? And people who are having that experience will know if your stuff is real. It's like, they ain't really into it. This is just a money thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, and once people get that, just like you said, when you meet your celebrity and they not who you, quote unquote, who they were sold to you as, the optics ain't what was presented. It's like, man, I'm off of that, man.
Right.
So that's wonderful. You all are tracking well, and inshallah, Allah will fulfill your hopes and aspirations. And yes, you have to be tried. Inna ma'al usri yusr. Verily, with the difficulty comes relief. Just like we opened up the broadcast talking about, the prodigies and the geniuses and the people who have to face challenges in order to get to that next level. Well, that's what we always have to face that. We always have to accept that. We always have to recognize that that's a part of it. Did you send me that video about Prime? Prime, who's in the news right now? Deion Sanders. He said, "What's your purpose for practice?" Did you send me that? Or
no, I didn't. I seen that video though. But,
you said, yeah. He said, what's your purpose for practice?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, because the point is that, okay, the practice, that you got to do that in order to get that other thing that you're looking for,
to make the game feel like practice. You practice like the game, so the game feel like practice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, you said.
That's it.
And so you need to flex, because people don't see them tries and bonds.
Come on.
You got them pecs, got them delts, got them delts up there. Bow,
Come on, man.
You hit it like that, bang. Yeah, y'all, he got it like that. He's being shy right now. But, that's what, because there's another saying that goes along with that, where it says, the more you sweat in practice, the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in the war.
Right.
The more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in the war. Right. So that's what you got to do. You got to go through it to get to it. Yeah. That's all about. So we basically come to the end of what we were going to touch on today, and we're going to be having y'all back. We're going to continue to follow your journey. Because this is about wealth creation and preservation. It's about intergenerational wealth, and it's about understanding that struggle and people learning as we go. This is kind of a before scenario, because the heights are out there, and the aspiration, the goal is still out there for us to attain. And so this is a good beginning for us. Anything you all want to close out with and advise us of as I click through some of these comments?
The biggest thing I would say is make sure that if you guys are thinking about doing it's never too late to start your own business. For one, definitely always want to start your own business if you can, and make sure you have a why behind your business. Obviously, our kids is our why. Obviously, our community is our why. We have a lot of different whys that we have, so it drives us to continue to keep going with this mission. So if you're starting a business, just make sure you have a why and a reason behind starting a business, and take a chance. Don't think about it. If you got a good idea, if you got an idea that you feel like it's not out there, take a chance. You know what I'm saying? You never know who it might connect with. You never know what you might discover about yourself in terms of doing that. You know what I mean? You might find out you got a talent for doing certain things like marketing or sales or just talking or dealing with people in general, So take that chance on yourself. You don't want to regret, you know what I'm saying? I should have did that when you older and you done, you know what I mean? So that's my only advice.
That's good advice too. Good advice. So I take it that Mott's is doing motherly duties right now.
Yes.
Melanin's good. So the baby was good, so she need to be rewarded anyway.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. All right, y'all know I love you, and we love having you here. So we broke the ice on that. So we're gonna have you back. And you all got you got a backstage pass anytime. It's like, we need to come on and holler about this, that, you got that. And I know people want to know more about your progression, your successes, and there's a message, your core values, etc. The mission that you are on is a mission that is, like you say, it's not just limited to sweatshirts and books, etc., etc. It's about social improvement. It's about the advancement of society. It's about helping those who have been deprived, denied, and who need to, be brought up in that sense. So we look forward to that. So that's going to be
givebackgang.com too as well.
Givebackgang.org.
Givebackgang.org. I'm sorry.
Givebackgang.org.
That's the nonprofit. We accept donations on givebackgang.org.
Okay, so they can make donations to the nonprofit.
Yes.
All right. So that's wonderful. I'm glad you said that, because I know it's plenty of people out there want to be a part of that and get that blessing that comes from sharing in that work. So inshallah, we do that. That's going to be it for us. Alhamdulillah, you all have a wonderful day, and all of you who are with us on Facebook, YouTube, Blog Talk, everybody have a wonderful
Hey,
day.
you got a good setup too. I just want to tell you.
You think that works?
Yeah, you got a good setup, man. I didn't know you had the 2 cameras with the Facebook and the YouTube all connected.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, dude.
You know, there's an app for that, bro. There's an app for that. All right, y'all. We are. Love you. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.